Now, I'd really like to go around because all you guys have played with some pretty prominent musicians, and it'd be kind of neat to get sort of maybe a true rock road story or something you remember. Drop as big a name as you like. All you guys have played with some pretty famous people. You got any stories you can tell just about, say...
I do.
Okay, good. Go.
I'm gonna give the entire Elton John story that ends up getting associated with me all the time. I used to live on Lake Ray Hubbard. My roommate was a producer, and we had horses. I came home one day, and Elton John was riding my horses. So, absolutely true. So that's how I ended up playing with Elton John. There's some other parts of the story that I don't want to tell, but that's the whole truth. That's how I met Elton John. He was out riding my horses.
How did that come about?
He was a friend of my roommate's.
Okay, all right. And then he suddenly knew you played guitar, or
that's how it all worked out.
When did you work with him? How far back was it?
Like early '80s.
So during his very colorful costume stage.
He actually was in town. He rented all of Six Flags for a day just for him and his friends.
Okay. All right, Richard?
I have a couple of local stories too. First of all, you mentioned that I was in the cast of Beatlemania, and yes, I was cast as Pete Best, so I never really made it to the stage. Much as my luck. No, actually, I played with the guys for some private parties, and they were very good friends. However, I was in a band called Idle Hands for many years in town, and on Friday nights we used to play at a particular venue and call it Idle Hands in the Dallas All-Stars, and many times a young Leanne Rimes would sit in with us. She was too young to probably get into the place at the age of 13, but we knew then what a future she had, and it was just a remarkable experience to play with Leanne, with the Dixie Chicks. When we were playing at Dick's Last Resort, we used to be the house band at Dick's, and there was a trio of girls playing out in the rain, and when it was winter, summer, whatever, and they were always looking at us through the window, and they were the Dixie Chicks, and look where they went too. So it's just been an exciting ride here.
True?
Oh, let's see. I spent most of my time on the road, so all of my stuff is road stories. I have to pick one that I can tell.
I've heard that.
Because you know about rock and roll bands. I spent a lot of time in Canada. I mean, the playing with big people was not that big a deal because I was a side person, so you didn't really get to hang that much with them. Pat Travers stayed in his trailer all the time, and all that kind of stuff. But the stuff that really struck me and made me grow as a musician was actually going out and playing all the little backwood bars with some really great talent. One of them I will even mention here, he's got a new CD out, he's in Los Angeles. It's the Electronic Jazz Ensemble, ejeband.com. Kevin Keith, who's an incredible bass player. And we used to do incredibly nasty jokes to this poor guy. We would catch him sleeping. He would sleep very soundly. We're in Canada in the winter, so we would take him out into the snow in his underwear and leave him sleeping in the snow to wake up. And another experience I had with him was being introduced to black ice. Any of y'all ever driven on black ice? It's a party.
Yeah.
We were in a van. He and I were asleep in the back of the van with one other person, and another lady was driving, and we woke up kind of like on an e-ticket ride at Disneyland, spinning. We couldn't move. The centrifugal force was so great. The next thing we knew, we were on the ceiling. So we crawled out of the back of the van in a 6-foot snowbank, 300 miles from nowhere. We were about 280 miles north of Edmonton, Canada. And fortunately, a little old lady in van came by and picked us up, or we would have frozen to death on the side of the road. That's life on the road in a rock band. There's all kinds of adventures, and I reached the point that the word adventure to me means when you're having it, you think you're going to die, and later on you tell everybody about this great adventure you have because you actually survived.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, for me, I took off to sing with a Japanese pop star when I was 18 years old, and I left Vanderbilt University my sophomore year after doing a stint at Tokyo Disneyland, and I got this amazing opportunity when Madonna and Whitney Houston were really huge, and Michael Jackson was really huge. This particular pop star was, we'd play similar sized venues in Japan, and so whenever those big Americans would come over while I was touring with her, we would either have been at the Tokyo Budokan right before Michael Jackson got there, or vice versa. So my singer and all of her entourage we'd always take all their band out, and Michael Jackson's band was just the coolest because at the time the keyboardist, like True, had the huge white mohawk all the way down to her feet. If you remember any of that era, and so we just hung out with him, and I was 18, 19 years old, and what I'd thought, I knew by 20 that I couldn't do that life. I had to go back to college, first of all, and I wanted to be in French and international relations, so that wasn't going to mesh. But by the time I had my family and had another chance to get back in it just now, and actually in the show before I moved here to Dallas, I used to host a magazine show in Arizona, in Phoenix. And so I had the chance to sing with all the people who came through, you know, Dennis DeYoung from Styx, and Pointer Sisters, and Donny Osmond, and Jim Brickman came several times. And anytime they'd come, we would get to do a number together, and I just got to keep that in my blood until now. And now we're just doing it in our local scene. We'll see what happens.
You know, I'm going to jump in because I got to say this. Obviously I'm the guy that played with Ashley Banfield. I've played with a lot of people, and you know when someone sings or plays if they're the real deal. When Tracy walked into rehearsal, within 5 minutes, I knew she was the real deal. I looked at Gary, who was our drummer, and we were both grinning from ear to ear. She was that good. So we were massively impressed by her vocal style. So Tracy is not just a great anchor and everything, she's a real musician. She's not doing this because she just, oh, this would be really cool. She really feels it.
A big compliment coming from him. Thank you very much. That means a lot.
Well, there's a rare warm moment at the Uncle Barky.